Hi, my name is Ernie Kleiman, and today I'm going to be talking about inlaying a rosette. This is a commercially prepared one into a western red cedar top, just using simple hand tools. You don't need a lot of expensive equipment. You don't need a fancy router, although I've got one. Sometimes I just like to do things by hand. Now, here's a very simple little jig you can make for yourself. It's basically a simple circle cutter using some pieces of plywood, a T-nut, I think this is about a 3/16 of an inch called dowel, metal dowel, some more pieces of plywood, and a thin piece of steel here. This is like a good chisel blade, and if you look closely you'll see that the bevel on this is critical in my opinion to getting a nice clean cut. It's got a double bevel on it, which is hard to say, but it looks like it's between the two included angles, it's about 15 degrees. Very simple, it just kind of slides in and out like this. It's got a slide part over here and a little 1-inch socket thumb screw. It just goes back and forth to adjust for your width of your rosette, and also for cutting out the sound hole later on if you so desire. But what I'm going to be demonstrating today is using a few simple tools. I just basically have this simple rosette cutter that I made from scraps. I watched another video. I think it was some fellow, Woodford. Yes, he had a really good idea for making one of these, or someone else, I don't remember, Canadian luthier, and I give him some credit. And I'm using that to, basically I scored 2 lines over here. You can see it's partially done out already. I scored 3 lines actually, one for the sound hole, 2 for the outer ring for the rosette, and the inside ring for the rosette. And basically all I'm doing is, once I've scored that line, I use this number 3, it's about a 3/8 of an inch gouge. It's a Swiss carving gouge. It's really nice. I really like these tools. They stay sharp and keep sharp for a long time, which is why I really like them. And I've been using them for 45 years, so it's a free plug for Swiss carving tools, but I have a lot of them and I really like them. They are one of the better carving tools in my opinion, for lutherie anyhow. They sharpen easy, that's another thing I really like about them. And this western red cedar top that we're talking about here today is basically going to be used for a flamenco guitar. So it's unconventional. I saw Stephen Falk do a video on it and I really like the sound of western red cedar because I'm biased. I spent 25 years in British Columbia, and there's western red cedar everywhere. Every little small coastal town has a mill, and they're always cranking out western red cedar. I don't know if they're doing it now, but it's a thought to keep in mind. This one, you can't really see it. It's basically got a three-piece top that I'm using. I think they're each about 6 inches wide. You might be able to see the grain lines here. And it's not a perfect top, but it's going to be French polished, and I'm going to be using a lot of shellac. And the color is going to be more closer to that garnet color that I've used to seal the inside, which is critical in my opinion with a wood like western red cedar. When you're carving it or doing anything to it, I raise the grain. Instead of using water, I use shellac out of a 3 or 2 pound cut, and that stiffens the fibers considerably, which, believe it or not, makes it a lot easier to carve. The problem with western red cedar is that if your tools are not super sharp, you're going to get a really crappy cut out of the deal. And I recommend really sharp tools for cutting western red cedar, sharp knives, chisels, plain blades to get a nice clean cut. And on this one I'm just going to be using a chisel to cut it out. So here's the little mass-produced rosette. It's kind of very simple, nothing really special. And as you can see, the lines over here, between these 2 lines, that's where I will not be cutting in. That will be the blank space to match this gap over here in the rosette itself. So here we go. It's very, very simple. I'm going to be cutting with this chisel. I will not be cutting with the grain, which is definitely a problem because we have 2 outline score marks over here. Can split past the line of my outline cut with the knife over here and go past it and really wreck this really nice western red cedar top. So most of the time when I am cutting, I will always try and cut as much as I can across the grain. And this is, you can see closely, this is all vertical grain, so I'll be going this way, here, until I get to here, and then from the top to the 3 o'clock position, I will be cutting the grain this way. Okay, so let's start right now. Here I go. I'm cutting very, very slowly. Just don't get too aggressive with it, because if you do get too aggressive with it, you're going to find a lot of chipping and a lot of nasty spots, and you will not be able to get down to your target thickness. On this one itself, I'm just using my hand, my left hand as a clamp, or if you're left-handed, use your right hand as a clamp and do it with your left. So, here we go. It's coming along very nicely. So I'm going very, very slowly. I urge you not to try and take off too much in one pass. You will be very sorry later on. After, when I get closer to, I don't have the tool with me to show, but I have a Lee Nielsen small miniature router plane, and after I've got it down to my target thickness, basically what I'm shooting for, this is, it's got a backer on it too, a piece of Filipino mahogany. But basically what I'm trying to do over here is I want to get it down to at least 2 millimeters, which is this piece. There's a backer on here as well that I glued on of Western red cedar, and because this was super thin, it was only about 30 thou, which is I don't know, 3/4 of a millimeter or so. So in my opinion, it was too thin for this commercial veneer, so I added on about 0.6, 0.3. That's about, no, it's more than that. I'm sorry. It's probably about 1.5 to 1.7. I haven't accurately measured this, but well, I'll try to get this down, and I've got the top oversized, so this trough that I'm making for the Rosette is going to go slightly lower. I would say 5 to 10 thousandths lower than the top, and then I'll come back and sand or plane the top so that this Rosette, which I can't show you right now, will be level with the top. You can also use a scraper, but the problem with Western red cedar, very hard to scrape unless you get your scraper really, really sharp. And from what the videos I've seen on it, the best way to sharpen your scraper, if you're going to scrape Western red cedar, which I am not, is to don't put a burr on it. Just make sure your scraper edge is really, really very sharp and flat on 2 sides or 3 sides, and do not put a burr on it. Here I go. Easy does it. That should be your motto when you're working on this Rosette. If you rush, my dad used to have a saying. He was an immigrant, he couldn't speak English very well, so he constantly reminded me, because I was always in a hurry when I was young. I was always eager to do everything. He said, if you rush, you flush. And what he meant by that was, if you run too quickly, especially doing luthier work, which I wasn't doing when I was a kid, if you're going to rush through a job, you can basically screw it all up and make a lot of errors. So I would caution you, if this is the first time you're going to be doing this kind of a job, using the chisel method, go slow, take your time, and be patient. You'll get there. Thank you very much, and that's all for today.